Breach of truce by Israel into Gaza, not surprisingly, was followed by even more criminal activity by the Zionist state on the 5th of November, the blocking of every entrance and exit of Gaza. The UN reported at the time that the imports of sustainable goods and aid had been utterly reduced down to 16 truckloads per day, from the once already inhumanely meager 123 loads in October to keep alive 1.5 million Palestinian people. The amount of imports were on a downward spiral because in May there had been 475 truckloads, which had been before Hamas had come into power for the people in June. Responding to the humanitarian crisis and the continuing IDF crimes against the Palestinian people, during the truce, Hamas permitted a round of rockets from an organization to be fired upon Israel. After 10 fighters from Hamas were killed the day after that, they responded with pyrotechnics of their own. Israel, within a period of 2 weeks that followed, killed almost 24 fighters for Palestine. There were no Israeli casualties at this time, even though there were 120 mortars and rockets fired upon them, but the lull had been broken. At this specific opportunistic time, the officials of Israel propagated a well-hatched media gala in order to gain public acceptance for the looming genocide ahead, with their sickening victim undercurrents for the fight ahead with Hamas in Gaza. On the 12th of November, an announcement by top IDF officials claimed within 2 months following the 6-month ceasefire that a war with the democratically elected Hamas was probable. The IDF officials also stated the war would take place whether Hamas wanted peace or not. Just days after the statement, the Israeli Prime Minister gave orders to his military leaders to design plans, literal blueprints, for a war in Gaza on a public statement. Those plans had already been drawn up ahead of time, though. On the 19th of November, in Hertz, the journalist Ravid's report stated that the blueprint for war had been brought before Barak for final approval. Hamas was caught in Israel's warmongering plot that they had been scheming about since June, when the ceasefire had been agreed upon. Hamas publicly declared it would not renew the ceasefire until it expired on the 19th of December, as many Palestinians found the pact to be useless. Then Hamas took a back seat for 2 days while 2 different groups of Palestinian fighters fired mortars and rockets on Israel due to the escalating attacks in Palestine. Under the black clouds of war threats from the terrorist state of Israel, Hamas on the 21st of December made a gesture for a 24-hour ceasefire on all missile retaliations, publicly announcing that they would consider a renewal of the defunct truce so long as Israel would stop its torment in both West Bank and Gaza, as well as keeping border crossings open for aid supplies and direly needed fuel. The Zionist state automatically declined. According to Ravid, unknown to them, on the 18th of December, the defense minister and prime minister of Israel were reviewing the looming war plan, but chose to wait for a publicly more acceptable excuse. Following the 23rd of December, Palestine launched 170 rockets and mortars, with only 1 Israeli civilian casualty. With this, the Zionist state used that as their reason to open their Pandora's box a little early and flooded Gaza with its long-time plot on the 27th of December. If all Israel truly wanted was to end the rocket attacks prior to the current situation, they could have been at least human beings and allowed aid and fuel into the area and stopped harming civilians en masse on a daily basis, at the very least. And yet again, they could have considered the gesture extended by Hamas on the 21st of December for a 24-hour ceasefire. Israel didn't want to stop their long-standing plans because they don't want peace. They want to have it all once and for all, everything. The spokespersons of Israel Undying claim that the assault isn't looking to change the Hamas regime, and that they desire to create a new security reality in Gaza. This would require the IDF to use excessive brute force and 1-ton bombs falling from the sky like rain in a densely populated area of civilians. They also wanted to destroy any political and military capabilities of Hamas so that they will be forced into accepting a ceasefire more to Israel's liking. What with the new elections having been completed in the USA and the swearing-in ceremony so close, Israel probably felt panicked to take action now, due to the fact that Bush's administration is exiting. Yes, Israel's best buddy and enabler, Bush, financially and publicly supports the Zionist state as well as supports the military by giving them money and American-made weapons. He's going to be gone. Although the next guy coming in isn't exactly anyone who actively opposes Israeli actions, which is sad. Barack Obama certainly doesn't want to begin with Israel to contend with. In the Washington Post, a Bush administration official anonymously was quoted over the phone as saying, Israel struck in Gaza because they wanted it to be over before the next administration comes in. They can't predict how the next administration will handle it. This is not the way they want to start with the new administration. Conflict rages on with no end in sight. Israeli military historian Ziv Maz's thoughts are that Israel's long history of manufacturing wars through strategic escalation and use of overwhelming force to achieve deterrence has never been successful. In fact, it's the primary cause of Israel's insecurity because it deepens hatred and a desire for revenge rather than fear. The pressure is mounting from the international community on Israel to let up from the bloodshed. There is also a surge in creative and nonviolent strategies drawing attention to the plight of the Palestinian people, such as humanitarian relief convoys off the Gaza coast in the past few months. Much of Gaza now lies in ruins and rubble. As a disgustingly powerful pretender, Israel is holding virtually all the cards in this conflict, as it was their choice to fight against the people of Gaza. Israel must be held accountable. With the American political leaders standing beside Israel and the fact that new president's foreign policy team is riddled with Zionist supporters, I do not see any real change on this matter, or that it will become possible in the future unless U.S. citizens make major efforts to get a new foreign policy that will not tolerate any violations of international law, which most definitely would include those by Israel. Do something. Do it now.